Okay, I want you to picture your family tree for a second. And I mean, go way, way back, past your parents, your grandparents, past powdered wigs and chainmail, all the way back to some ancestor squatting in the dirt whose only goal was to survive until sunrise. The only reason you're here, listening to this right now, is because every single person in that long, fragile chain made it. But here's the thing. Your existence? It's not some gentle, inevitable fact. It's a victory against absolutely staggering odds. You are the byproduct of violent coincidence and stubborn biology. Just let that sink in. Countless times, your ancestors stared death right in the face, and somehow, when they really shouldn't have, they survived.
So just how close did we come to never existing at all? Well, we're about to find out. We are going to count down the 5 absolute worst, most dangerous times in all of human history to be born. Let's dive in.
Kicking us off at number 5 is the last glacial maximum. This was about 20,000 years ago, and trust me, if you think your winter is bad, you have absolutely no idea.
I mean, look at the scale of this thing. This wasn't just a cold snap. This was a complete reshaping of the entire planet. We're talking about ice sheets 2 miles thick, just smothering continents. Global temperatures plummeted, turning most of the world into this vast, frozen desert. In a world like that, food wasn't just scarce, it was basically a rumor.
So this was daily life. Your home? A drafty cave packed with 40 of your closest relatives. And your dinner? Oh, just a 6-ton woolly mammoth you had to go hunt with a sharpened stick while it was actively trying to stomp you into a pancake. Talk about a high-stakes grocery run.
And on top of just trying not to starve or get crushed, you had all the other dangers. There were no antibiotics, no emergency rooms, no vaccines. A simple mistake, a cut from a stone tool, a fall on the ice, could lead to an infection that would kill you. Survival wasn't just about being strong, it was about being incredibly careful and unbelievably lucky.
All right, next up at number 4, we have a moment where humanity had this brilliant idea that actually made things so much worse. We're talking about the dawn of agriculture, around 10,000 years ago. So, after millennia of chasing their food around, humans decided to grow it instead. Settle down, plant some wheat, build a nice little village. It sounds like a genius move, right? What could possibly go wrong? Well, it turns out this one decision had some pretty horrifying, unintended consequences.
See, once everyone started living in one place, all crowded together, diseases that were once pretty rare could now just spread like wildfire, and archaeologists have the skeletons to prove it. People's health actually got worse. Their diets were less diverse, vitamin deficiencies shot up, and their teeth basically just rotted out of their skulls. Plus, you are now totally dependent on your crops. One drought, one flood, and your entire village just starved.
Now for number 3. If you were alive back in the 13th century, and you happened to see a giant cloud of dust on the horizon, you probably had about 3 minutes to panic. Welcome to the Mongol Invasions. Led by the notoriously ruthless Genghis Khan, the Mongols were a truly unstoppable force of nature. Their strategy was terrifyingly simple. Show up fast, hit unbelievably hard, and leave absolutely nothing standing. Entire cities were just whoosh, wiped off the map. Their populations slaughtered.
The result was, well, it's almost unimaginable. Historians estimate that the Mongol conquests were so devastating that they wiped out around 10% of the entire world's population. Let that sink in for a second. 1 in every 10 people on the planet, gone.
So what on earth could possibly be worse than the Mongol hordes? Coming in at number 2 is an enemy you couldn't even see, the Black Death of the mid-14th century.
This thing was a biological wildfire, and it moved with terrifying efficiency. It was a bacterium that hitched a ride on fleas, which lived on rats, which then snuck onto trade ships. Once it hit the crowded cities of Europe where people had zero concept of hygiene, it was just unstoppable. The symptoms were horrific. Fever, vomiting blood, swollen black sores, and death usually came within days. Survival was a complete and utter lottery.
The devastation was unlike anything humanity had ever seen before. In just a few short years, the Black Death killed somewhere between 30 and 60% of Europe's entire population. Try to imagine that today. Nearly half the people you know, just gone.
Okay, so let's recap. We've had global freezing, civilization-ending famine, total war, and a plague that basically wiped out a continent. What could possibly be worse than that? What is the #1 absolute worst time in history to be born?
The #1 worst time to be born happened 74,000 years ago. It's when the Toba Super Volcano erupted and very, very nearly deleted humanity from existence entirely.
When Toba exploded, it wasn't a local event. It was a planet-altering catastrophe. It blasted so much ash into the atmosphere that it literally blocked out sunlight for years. This triggered a global volcanic winter. Temperatures crashed, plants died, the animals that ate the plants starved, and entire ecosystems just collapsed.
For the few humans who are alive at the time, it was a true apocalypse. Scientists estimate that the entire human population on Earth crashed to fewer than 3,000 individuals total. This is what's called a genetic bottleneck. Our species was pushed to the absolute razor-thin brink of extinction.
And this is where it all comes back to you. Because against all of those impossible odds, that tiny, desperate group of humans, they didn't give up.
That's right. Every single one of the billions of people on this planet today is a direct descendant of that little handful of survivors who somehow endured a decade of darkness, freezing cold, and constant starvation. Their stubborn, relentless will to live is literally hardwired into your DNA.
So, when you really think about it, your life isn't just your own. It's the finish line of a 74,000-year-long relay race against extinction. It's the grand prize that your ancestors won by surviving ice and famine and war and plague.
You are the impossible, improbable miracle they fought for. So, the only question left is, what are you going to do with it?